I wanted to create the ultimate bib for women that work for all different body types and that solve these really specific problems.
You know, it's something that we all engage with. We all have to participate in this art form, this like purchase or consumption of design in a way that, you know, you can have any art hanging on the wall at home.
Welcome to Cycling Demystified, brought to you by Foundation Bike Fit and Frequency Cycle Works, the podcast where we help you take your cycling to the next level by sharing knowledge from experienced bike fitters, mechanics, and the hidden players within the bike industry.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the Soft Issues podcast, Claire and Graeme. Claire from Petrichor Projects. Did I say that right?
You said that right, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Graeme Raeburn from Albion. Just Albion? Albion clothing?
No, just Albion's great, yeah.
Albion.cc. Is it trendy? Is it .cc?
No, albioncycling.com, I think.
Cycling.com. There we go. Two pillars of the cycling
Might
industry.
have to double check that.
Don't worry, we'll go back in and edit it all out. But yeah, thank you both for coming into the studio today. We've also got Ev.
Hi.
Matt's in the background just typing.
He's got better things to do today.
Yeah. Can't tempt him into any background noise. Okay.
He had a star listener in earlier for a Bike Fit.
Oh, did he?
What was his name?
Oh, yeah, shout out to Bobby.
Shout out to Bobby. Bringing us Ferrero Rocher as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Incredible.
So.
Not quite milk tray, but it'll do.
Yeah. Bobby, well done. Good stuff. You can come again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I have to, because he's got a follow-up.
Ferrero Rocher. What's the catch line for Ferrero Rocher?
Mr. Ambassador, you're spoiling us.
You do that far too quick.
I know.
Shows how old we are.
As if the grey in the beard wasn't enough to give it away.
Yeah. All right. But today we wanted to get these guys in from the clothing industry, something we haven't really talked about before on the podcast, but we just really wanted to get some different perspectives from the cycling industry, and these are the kind of hidden sides of the cycling industry that go into making all the amazing stuff. Designing. Graeme is head designer at Albion. Claire, you run your own company called Petrichor Projects, which you launched last year.
I launched in 2022, soft launch, and then last year was the official big launch, with our first clothing product.
Awesome. So, nice segue. You can tell us a little bit more about yourselves, what you do then, and why you're amazing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, I'm Claire. My background is in technical clothing product development. I studied fashion at university, but I was always really into cycling. So while I was at university, I was like off racing mountain bikes and having loads of fun riding my bike. And it was always my intention after graduating to merge my two passions and work in technical clothing and in the cycling industry. So yeah, I've worked for some really awesome brands, had lots of fun working for loads of different cool technical people, and then last year the time was right to sort of launch my own brand. So
Kabam, doing it yourself, doing it your own way.
Yeah, definitely.
Jumping in a deep ocean.
Yeah.
Of nothingness.
And Graeme, how did you get into this soup of designing bike kit?
Probably not too dissimilar to Claire. Only I wasn't maybe quite as smart and clever in that. I think I studied fashion and also did an MA in fashion women's wear, but I wasn't really aware that actually there was jobs designing stuff. But at the same time, I had this deep passion for riding bikes, mountain biking. It's kind of what I did for fun and getting around, seeing friends or whatever. I always knew it was like the best way to get across London and things like that, but I didn't really know that there was this whole world of designing technical clothing. And it was a funny thing, friend of a friend, after I graduated, said, oh, you should come in and meet the people at the place I'm working. He was working at Rafa. It was back in 2007. So then at the time, my brother, Christopher Raeburn, and I were able to turn around samples really quickly. Again, we were both cyclists. We understood what was needed to be done. And kind of, it just went from there, really. I spent over 10 years working at Rafa, and Claire and I actually worked together there and made some absolutely amazing products. And now I've been at Albion for officially 3 years, but probably working with them maybe 5 years now.
Yeah, actually, the big R, the Rafa word, is the big connector between all of us. Actually, this is how we've crossed paths in lots of different areas, but we were all at Rafa at some time together.
Yeah, I started in 2009, moved to London to work for Rafa, and so yeah, that's where we all go back in
that
the
way
day.
was cool.
When were you there, Wade? Because I was trying to work out. We were at Evans together 15 years ago.
Yeah. 2008. I was back at Condor Cycles. So I think I fitted your brother back then for a Condor bike, and then after that I moved to Rafa. I think probably around about 2010.
When things were really taking off.
Yeah, it was just starting to get a little bit bigger.
Just getting noticed.
Which was ironic. Like, it was funny. I was just looking back, and I think I was customer number 20. I actually bought one of their soft shell jackets.
I remember that. I remember seeing that in the staff room at Evans Cycles, and I was like, "What on earth is this?"
What
and you
is
were like,
this?
"Yeah,
This is crazy."
yeah."
Wore it to absolute death, and everything. Went clubbing in it.
Hold on, you went
Riding.
clubbing.
Yeah, man, that jacket was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
We have to talk about the clubbing thing later on in private. I think.
I was young once, Ev.
Were you? Don't remember young.
Yeah, it does feel like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of crossover, and that's where kind of lots of ideas were being shared. And I think you touched on it a little bit, Graeme, saying how quickly you can, or how nimbly you can turn around stuff. And I think there was that fleet of foot, that ability to be small and nimble and turn things around. That was really exciting, and you can just kind of, very few people could do loads of stuff. You could just kind of make stuff, and it was there, and test it. And I think that's what I found really exciting about how you seem to approach stuff, certainly back in those days. And it sounds like you've come back to that kind of method of kind of making and testing, and you would make things and wear them and go out on ridiculously long rides just to see how it would hold up.
Yeah, without just diving right into the deep now. Like that's kind of fundamentally one of the things that I love about clothing, and I mean, for want of a better word, fashion, is that it is so accessible and approachable to have an idea and get on a sewing machine and make something. You know, it's something that we all engage with. We all have to participate in this art form, this like purchase or consumption of design, in a way that, you know, you can have any art hanging on your wall at home, or you know, choose to drive a particular car or something like that, but clothing everyone has to actively participate in. So at the same time, actually making stuff is so accessible, and to that end you can turn things around. And I think that's where I really learned the benefits of doing that very early on with my brother Chris. But then as some other kind of longer part processes get involved, I've now learned from some of those ways that there are ways to do things better, exactly by just, you know, making something up and actually getting onto someone to go and wear test. It's way more convincing to have that happen than show them another computer screen or flat CAD or whatever it is. So, and I don't know if that's true for you as well, Claire. the actual making of things.
Yeah, absolutely. We're working with 3D physical things, so it's much more intuitive to kind of, rather than working on the computer all day, like mock stuff up, get the fabrics out, kind of make a pattern, work out the dimensions on the body, and then you can really quickly realise something. I ride home in stuff from the studio, and then you can go back the next day, make some little amendments that just aren't working, and it's such an intuitive way of working rather than just sitting at the computer and sort of like looking at this really beautiful sort of flat image. You can get to the problem much quicker.
And it's a tactile, like emotional, intimate experience, I think, as well, like how you bond with, whether something becomes your favourite thing that you automatically reach for or whatever, some of those sort of slightly more intangible aspects of it are so critical as well.
Yeah, what I'm getting from you guys is that you take it very much as craftsmanship. So you guys are very much involved at every aspect of this product, and for you it's a serious craft.
I think we both, obviously deeply care about, solving various problems that cyclists face, and probably work in quite a similar way now that, we really sort of analyse the garment and like work in a real physical way to sort of like get to the root of what needs solving and yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy your little Instagram videos of you cutting patterns and making stuff, and it's like, how do you go from like this pattern to, an actual garment? But you can see the kind of process and the thought behind it.
And that was something that I was really keen to show as a brand, because there's so much work that goes into the physical product. It's a very long process. They can be in development for like 2-3 years sometimes. So it's really important to sort of see the hands making things, and all the work that goes into it, and how you make a pattern. And it's not just a first pattern, it can be like 10 patterns and then 10 mock-ups and then 10 samples. It's a very drawn out process, and I was really keen to share how much knowledge and kind of like passion goes into that.
And there aren't that many industries where because you can design for yourself, right? Yeah. So you can, like you just said, you can just make something, you put it on, and then you can feel it straight away. Whereas, there's so many industries with, whether it's bike design or something else, or being an aeronautical engineer, people are designing something for somebody else, or a tiny part of something for somebody else that then goes down the line, and then by the time they see it again, it's completely, it's gone through 1,000 iterations or something like that. Whereas you guys can be really, really hands-on with it. It must be. But is it still? How does it compare to when you, for example, when you both worked at Rafa, when you're on maybe a more grand scale, which we all know just means things take longer, things have to go past more people to approve, things like that. How does it feel, and how scary is it to be the sole judge of your own work? Because if you work for a big company, you come up with an idea, you make a presentation, you put it before a board, and then everybody kind of goes, well, I like that, I like this bit, I like that, and then, designed by committee, and by the time it's finished, it's not really your work anymore. So you can be proud of it to a certain extent, but at the same time, that people got their oar in, all the way through whereas now, it's up to you. And then the response to that product is, again, completely on you. How's that make you feel?
That's actually a really exciting place to be, because I'm really enjoying, sharing my knowledge and my passion and, my background. And I've seen it on the other side, where you're part of a big team, and, it goes through all these different sort of iterations and such forth. But being a founder, I'm in a position now where I can work with a few different freelancers, so that's really nice. So it's not solely me, but it is me making the final decision. But that's really exciting. It's really exciting to kind of just iterate and get it out there and be super confident in what I'm doing.
And it's quicker as well, isn't it? So
yeah, it's really liberating.
Yeah.
I guess you can also then connect with like that final vision over like art direction and styling and what bike it might be seen or presented on or something like that.
Absolutely.
That perhaps
To have
previously when you're working in a bigger team is sort of done, it's at distance and something pops out the other end and
to have that total control is really nice. And also, the business is growing and that vision, it can change and, again, that's really exciting.
And you can roll with punches as well, all the way along, can't you? It makes it much more malleable, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a key difference between those small, nimble businesses and kind of local proprietary kind of led businesses, and then like a bigger company and so on. And there's always pros and cons. It makes me think of frame builders as well. Those guys who are welding steel tubes together and really putting their heart and soul into this craft, and having to convince a person that their craft and their vision and what they stand for and their values is worth buying over a frame that's made in the Far East with in a faceless factory. And it's a difficult thing. I think it's really difficult. And how you guys kind of convince people that there is a lot of knowledge and experience and passion behind the things that you do, beyond just the finished kind of product itself. Like, do you find that as a challenge, or again, it sounds like you just kind of embrace it?
Having to do everything, from the design, the implementation, and marketing, and because the marketing, that's what's got me lately. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, I do the work. I also have to do the marketing, and I have to do all this other stuff, and it's like, it's a complete mind. I don't need to bleep that out. I bleep myself.
Yeah, there's a lot to wrap your head around for sure. But again, it's kind of exciting, like learning all of this other stuff and navigating, the marketing side and all of that kind of side.
Would you consider yourselves control freaks?
No.
But it's nice
to enjoy a bit
to
of
have
chaos once in a while.
Yeah. Well, yeah, chaos is good. But at the end of the day, if you have the say, the wherewithal to have the final say on something, it's always kind of nice, isn't it, to not have to, not feel like you've wasted time. Which is, I think, with the bigger companies, sometimes you do feel like, oh well, I spent a lot of time on this, and then they chucked it in the bin or something. So
yeah, it gets put on ice. But I'll sort of jump in there because I suppose the way I'm set up now actually is actually I really enjoy the teamwork aspect of that, where there's a ton of stuff I'm useless at or I have zero interest in or whatever. So it allows me to concentrate on what I'm good at and not be wrapped up in marketing or something like that. There are way more skilled and competent people to do that around me. So I enjoy that aspect of it. And exactly like working with a really good developer, I am so bad with codes, writing emails, spreadsheets and things like that. And I'm not just saying I'm like, I make so many mistakes if I have to do those things, but working with somebody who is, so professional and organized on those digital side of things, it's just, it's phenomenal. Like, it would genuinely take me 10 times as long to do that stuff, if not more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most important aspects of small businesses or medium-sized businesses, is to identify when your skill set runs out or overlaps with something, and you need to find somebody else to be able to allow you to concentrate on what you're good at.
Yeah, and also, but making the mistakes, I guess you guys have kind of come from a place where you're very experienced. You've been doing this for a long time, so now you get to choose kind of which direction you want to go in. So you can either, take on the business side of things and be that business proprietor, or you can work in that team. And it's really nice to see you guys finding your kind of little niches and kind of being able to do the work that you really enjoy. I feel like certainly at Albion, you've been given this kind of lease of, creativity again.
Yeah, certainly. And it's all credit to the team there for indulging me to sort of bring some slightly novel stuff in there in terms of prototyping and making stuff that previously I haven't really seen many companies do. It took a little bit of time to see the fruits from some of those investments. It takes a bit more space. You actually need like room to cut things and machines and things like that. So it's thanks to the patience of my colleagues there for tolerating that, but seems to be working.
Yeah. So can you walk us through a little bit about walk us through that kind of prototyping process? How would you go from like an idea that's floating around in your head?
Where do the ideas come from? Are they iterations of stuff or do you just wake up in the middle of the night when they're like, oh, I've got it, eureka, just get a pad and paper?
And feel free to jump in here with this, but within Albion, it's very much like a round table type of thing with trying to figure out, like, not just making something for the sake of making it, but really interrogating what that product is, why we're going to make it, who's going to use it. And so it's all these different inputs from seeing what people are using out in the field, a little bit of gut feeling, some financial sense as well. Like, is it, this could potentially be a big investment. Like, does it, can we actually do that? So a kind of a brief will be sketched out and kind of pinned down, not too tight, with aware that it might change, and then it will go into very first proto phases where there's a number of different approaches to that it might be driven because we found an amazing fabric and we think it might make this, or we've got a great idea for a product, we need to find some fabrics for it, in which case we might be testing 3 or 4 different materials. So very, very basic mock-ups that might be, again, to wear test the material, it might be to dial a fit, or it might be to look at a feature, like a function or something like that. So no two processes are ever the same. And again, this is just from an Albion point of view, like, the more it goes on, it will transition from an analog process to more digital. And by that, I mean, it'll get rounded up into a proper design CAD and tech pack. There'll be a digital pattern, so what started off as a paper or card pattern will then get digitized, potentially even a digital sort of mock-up, like a 3D thing in something like Clo to maybe bring a print idea to life. And then, as I say, kind of all of the actual data about codes and amounts and things like that. So it's a balance of using analog hands-on tools like scissors and rulers and things like that, through to computers and
streamlining
that aspect of it, where ultimately what we're aiming for is a garment or a mock-up that we are 95% there. We don't need it completely factory finished. That's what the factory is there for. They've got specialist machinery, but we want to have a perfect, as perfect as possible mock-up toile that we know is fitted, the materials wear tested, all the features, the pockets are in the right place, the zipper's working correctly, that we can effectively plug into a factory for them to make a first sample that could be good enough to then go into a size set, rather than taking 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 different samples, over potentially a couple of years to get to that phase.
And do you have multiple projects like on the go at the same time, or do you tend to kind of just focus on one thing?
Yeah, there's all. I think
this is where it gets really complex, isn't it? Where you have multiple products across multiple seasons.
And
special editions.
it's so easy to get distracted. Like, oh yeah, I'll just have a little, and then all of a sudden, like it's like a few days later, and then sort of like personal projects and things. But yeah, it's hard not to get distracted, I think, and be like, oh, this would be nice to have.
Sometimes a positive thing, because you can get distracted, you can start something new,
Yeah.
but then ideas from that you can implement
Completely,
into
yeah. And actually quite a lot of what we do at Albion within the kind of the workshop area is customizing kit for athletes or kind of special project things. So if someone's doing a particular ultra race and they want a insulated hood on a jacket or more visibility or something like that. So exactly all of those things, kind of these little projects then feed into to making our production items better. And actually another thing is repairs as well that we do. So we do all the repairs in-house, and so all of that means that we, you can see if something is, wearing out, abrading in a particular area. Okay, let's use two layers of fabric there, or bond something together there, and actually design these features, design these not weak points but points of potential failure out, and make our products last longer.
Yeah,
so,
and that's amazing. There's very few, people are getting better about it, but I feel like this is something a little bit more distinctive about the brand values, in that you want to have a dialogue with your garments and your customers and see stuff coming back so that you can improve them. But also, do people actually like the stuff? Do they? What's good about it? What's bad about it? What's actually happening?
And a lot of these products, they're not cheap. People have invested in them, and I believe, if, for want of a better word, if we are talking about sustainability and trying to change systems, or using recycled products and C0 DWR, like if you're creating something, you have a huge responsibility about that product that you're putting out into the world, that it should last for as long as possible. And actually, yes, we've looked down the line 5 decades and we might have circular recyclable clothing, but we are so far away from that at the moment. So the best thing you can do is make something as good quality, that's going to be as durable as possible, that's going to last for as long as possible and retain value even in a resale market.
Yeah, I've still got some couple of pieces actually, like an old Rafa wind jacket which I crashed, and then you sewed like a little patch back into it and different colour, and it's amazing. It's still going, rather than just like
and again I think you also have an emotional attachment to it as well,
especially when you crash in it.
Yeah.
There's some physical attachment to it.
Got the DNA all over it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's why your repair kind of pop-ups have been really popular as well. Riding around town. Tell us a bit more about your setup.
So that has sort of snowballed out of years ago. When I originally started working with Albion, I was working for my brother Christopher Raeburn, who had this lovely big studio in Hackney in the old Burberry headquarters. And Albion, I invited Albion in to come and do a rail takeover in our store. So for a weekend they had a space, and we thought quite a fun thing to do was an anti-Black Friday thing was offer free repairs on any brand cycle wear. So this was a provocation really to the industry, that actually I think more brands should be taking responsibility for some of these things, or offering some of these services. And it was a great space as well, just to open up dialogue and conversation with someone coming in. And it's just escalated from there. So I'm now equipped with a lovely Surly bike trailer that I hitch onto my nice big town Cannondale, and I'm able to haul about, I reckon I took about 100 kilos of kit up to Via to the Via Crit in the summer. So we probably did about 10 different workshops around London last year, I think. Herne Hill, Look out this summer, this spring summer, we're going to be doing regular once a month sessions on a Wednesday evening at Herne Hill Velodrome. Nice. Again, repair sessions, workshops, making things, really fundamentally to get people interested in the true value of garments and textiles.
Yeah, amazing stuff. So exciting to see that kind of stuff taking off and people really getting involved with it and people getting excited about it.
The kind of slightly, the higher mission is also just to get people interested in potential careers and pathways into the industry as well. Again, because I think it is so accessible. There's loads of amazing brands in London and the UK, like offering really good, viable careers now into clothing design, performance wear.
Would that be a kind of apprenticeship kind of program, or just?
Dare to dream, but down the line, definitely. Okay. We're a tiny company at the moment, but yeah, there are sort of some dreams ahead to try and start that sort of thing. Yeah.
All right. Or maybe you can give us some links and things like that, and we'll post them in the show notes afterwards. So if anyone's interested in a career in the garment industry, then hook us up and give Graeme a chat. You're pretty amenable these days as well. Like people, you're a very friendly chap. So people.
I think by and large everyone in the bike industry is. I think that's one of the reasons I was kind of drawn to it. Really.
Yeah. I mean, you sent a lovely chap down to us called Max, who's just doing his A-levels.
Yes,
And he's trying to design some specific bike fitting / practical kind of tools for his A-level project. And he was blown away by kind of your generosity and all the kind of knowledge you gave him. And then he came in here and Matt had a go at him. In a good way. No, he had a great time. Had a great time for our workshops and things like that. So,
as I say, there's so many great things happening in London at the moment because, you're just around the corner from us, and we've got Wizard Works just up the road.
Yeah.
There's,
where are you based?
We're Deptford.
Okay.
And
I'm over in Charlton. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just moved to a new studio.
Yeah. So, last year was quite wild with the launch and everything of the bib. And then in October, I decided it was time to move out of my co-working space, which was tiny and not ideal. So I took on a new studio. And it's been incredible, actually, having an own dedicated space to sort of work out of. And
Have you filled it up already?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But it's awesome just having like a pattern cutting table and area to put stock and get super organised and all the creative ideas are kind of really flowing and when the weather gets nicer, it'd be great to open the doors and open up and get our lovely customers come down and planning some really cool rides out of there as well. For
Oh,
summer.
cool.
So,
All right. So you're creating a little community and So I've seen you've been doing a bit of gravel riding and getting out into the muddy lanes.
Yeah. It's been really nice actually because obviously I started off mountain biking and then when I moved to London to work for Rafa, it was very much a road cycling company at that time, shall we say. So, it's been really fun to go full circle and get a gravel bike maybe like 3 years ago and just, enjoy getting off-road and getting muddy again. And
has that seen, has that seen your profits soar? The whole gravel thing, is that generally, because I feel like it's being pushed as a very different type of riding. So I suppose the kit that you ultimately there was a time where when it first started you just wear what you've got, but now the term gravel specific is
the intention with Petrichor Projects was never to create another road cycling brand or a gravel specific brand. For me it was creating technical products that solve a specific problem. So with the women's bib, I really saw an opportunity to create a size inclusive brand that made that made really great innovative cycling bib for women. So it's size inclusive in 8 different sizes. It's got a really innovative P-brake function. So it was more about looking at individual problems that women cyclists face across any kind of discipline. And that's the way that I've approached it, and I think the cycling industry really picked up on that. We were covered in Cyclist magazine. Single Trek actually awarded us one of the coveted Editor's Choice awards in December, which is amazing. So it's been really nice to kind of see that recognition, but also not be kind of pigeonholed into another road cycling brand. And
it's all too easy to fall into that trap, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think people really cycle that way anymore. Cycling's just great, like regardless whatever you're doing. So I don't think anybody needs to be.
It's brilliant to see way less kind of rules or needing to look a certain way or have X, Y, Z like on your bike or whatever it is.
Yeah. And how amazing, though, that you got such a great reception for those bib shorts. Literally everyone I've seen with a pair of those bib shorts just raving about them. Just this is the most amazing bibs ever.
It's been quite a journey, shall we say. It was great. It was amazing to launch them because, like I said, I was working on them for 3 years in R&D, testing and iterating on them. So to kind of get them out there was great in itself, and then just to see the kind of the reaction and the press picking it up, and then to round it off by winning an award was incredible, really. It's a really nice position to be in, and it's given me lots of ideas for future products to get to work on.
On the subject of, sorry, I'm going to interject. On the subject of bibs, how do you come up with them? And how closely, or have you interacted with, say, fitters or saddle companies or bike companies in general to actually get the basic idea of where should the pad go? What shape should the pad be? How should it, how much padding should there be? Is this focused on people who ride maybe mountain bikes or people who ride road bikes or kind of saddles, and is there something there, or is it kind of generally guesswork?
Well, I think every brand has a quite different approach to it. So, for example, when we're at Rafa, it might be a very different approach because it might be we were working on a protein bib, for example, or a commuter bib. But for me at Petrichor Projects, it was about creating a bib that worked in any situation. If you're going out for a 3-hour road ride, or if you're riding all day off-road, I wanted to create the ultimate bib for women that work for all different body types and that solved these really specific problems. So for me, it was about looking at what those problems were and looking at a really wide range of body shapes and sizes, and really nailing the fit. The fit was such a key thing for me to get right. And I knew I could kind of realise that with my sort of industry background. And then it's like Graeme was saying before, it really is a journey. It's iterating. It's sort of looking at those different fabrics and what each fabrication would give you in that product, looking at a different pad, and then seeing how that product looks on the bike. You're not sort of just fitting it on someone stood up. You're getting someone on the bike and you're looking all around to see how it looks from all different aspects and how you can improve it and clean it up. And it's constantly iterating and testing and giving them out to people and saying, go out and ride in it and trash it and tell me what isn't working, and learning from that process constantly.
I think that was what was really exciting when we were back at Rafa and you guys were designing stuff, and I used to love coming upstairs just to get into the the design area, because it felt a little bit like the black box or the R&D area. It's like, oh, what's happening in here? What new things are? And then you'd occasionally throw us out something and be like, hey, wait, can you go and test this? Tell us if it's any good. And be like, yeah, sure, great. I've got to go ride my bike now. And just even the concept back then of designing a bib so that it fitted in a bike riding position rather than feeling good when you stood up. And it was really weird when you stood up in a bib and it was just way too tight. But when you got into your bike riding position, it felt great.
Do you have both have dummies that are in the position?
I don't know.
Way too expensive, unfortunately.
It's not something that it's not a fashion industry staple, is it?
It's not.
Get in that kind of
It's probably
position.
much cheaper to get one 3D printed these days. Just get someone scanned.
Would it help? Would it be useful? Well, I suppose you've got computers to do 3D drawings anyway.
I think just in use is really the only way that you can really tell of someone
mannequin can't tell
sort of
you that something
moving.
Yeah,
shapes,
exactly. And having someone riding it, there's
Yeah.
so much value in that.
There's the difference between people like the fashion industry that people that design suits and dresses and things like that, and they're just like very static kind of things. Well, I mean, the suit is something that is really designed to be static rather than moved around in, whereas cycling clothes are designed to move and move with you. So,
but I think this is a value that we kind of all of us kind of share within all our kind of expertise areas. And that is just getting out and riding and testing things. And because riding is a holistic kind of process, and there's no substitute for, going out and riding and experiencing and being out in the wild and feeling the wind and the air and the weather that's coming at you. Whether you're testing clothes or for us, it's like testing saddles and the bike fit itself. Does it actually work? Like we can fit you in the studio and it kind of looks great, but it's not the same as being outside. So now we've got to take it out and test it. And the same with you, Ev, when you're working on a bike and it's great in the stand, but I think one of the best things about you being here is that you can just take it out on the road circuit and then test it. It's like, does it work when it goes up a hill? Oh, okay, maybe I need to make
when you put pressure on the pedals. No, get back in.
I've got this thing because love it if anyone there does want to challenge this, but I don't think that there's a more demanding sort of activity or sport on fabrics than cycling, because of the like range of temperature or conditions that you might encounter, like over a ride, particularly if you're riding in the mountains or something, from 2,000 meters down to sea level or whatever. It's you can go, you can be exerting and sweating loads. You're going to have road spray, grease off the road, sun cream, like solar ray damage. It's got to be dyed to high vis colours and not bleach or not bleed into other things. It's got to be comfortable next to the skin. It's got to stretch. It's got to be laundered really frequently. And there is so many criteria that need to go into a very specific use case kind of thing. So you can look at stuff on paper or whatever and get a feel for whether it's good, but actually getting out there and into the elements and experiencing, and even does it look good? Like, is someone going to sell? That's
How do you guys approach the whole fitting process for the customer? Then do you guys try and get people to just test on themselves, or do you kind of want to get people in front of you as well, as much as possible? I don't know if we can visit either of you guys in person or not, or
very possibly the same answer, maybe.
For me, the fit process is it's really driven by each sample you get. You improve the fit, kind of you iterate on that fit. So the first sample you will give the factory an idea of, I want it to fit like this. This is the kind of reference, and then you get the first sample back, and then it's constantly making adjustments and constantly looking at the product and how does it look on this bike, how does it look on this bike, and then you're riding in the product, and what might have worked on, as you were saying before, what might work on a static bike in the studio, it might not work where you're out 6 hours, riding off roads, and this thing suddenly becomes really flappy or uncomfortable, or you've got too much fabric in the wrong place. So it really is a a journey with that sample and that process and kind of tweakings, you know. And the first sample can quite often look really bad. And then you get the second proto and it's slightly better, and the next sample it's perfect. So yeah, it's kind of that process really. And you know, you generally start off fitting on one size, which would be your base size. And then as you go down the process, you tend to go to a size set where you see it on a range of different sizes, different body shapes, heights. And that's to kind of get the sizing right across the whole spectrum. So you're not just looking at, you know, one size and hoping for the best. You're really analysing it across the board and really honing that fit to get it how you want it.
Yeah. And have you guys ever considered custom, or what's your kind of take on custom clothing? We have a similar discussion about custom bikes and custom shoes and all this kind of stuff, but it'll be really good to get you guys' view.
Let me think where to start. Yeah, we
open the box now.
Because maybe similar to yourselves as well, like you've got a degree of adjustment through different reach stems or with bars or whatever, and so you might, as an individual, marry a medium pair of bibs with a large jersey or something like that, and dial the things, you know, pull the sleeves up or something like that. And actually, back to kind of what I was just saying about, you know, the clothing, the fabric being adaptable, is also a consideration maybe around the fit, is that you're sometimes choosing materials which will encompass a broad range of body types or something like that. So using the characteristics of the material, you're able to fit kind of more people, and opt for doing that rather than maybe a very rigid thing without much stretch in it or something like that. So, which I think by the nature of particularly contour fabrics, but then also kind of looser garments as well, you might, you know, away from the body, you might be thinking, okay, this is good because actually we can fit a wider range of people there. But certainly... so actually, I'll just go off on a little ramble now. That's okay.
Go for it.
But having just said all that, I do believe that we should be treating clothing more like bikes. In that, if you want to upgrade a bike, you know, you can put a new set of wheels on it, or if you want to make it single speed, or you know, turn it into a touring bike, you can put some panniers on or whatever. And I think we should have that attitude towards clothing, that if you do want to put another pocket on it, or turn it into a short sleeve, or put some extra weatherproofing on it or something like that, it should actually be quite straightforward to do that, and have these kind of accessible processes, and be kind of less precious about having to keep something absolutely perfect, and actually adapting in the same way that you know, it's completely normal in a bike. If something's worn out, you replace it. Why can't we do that with garments? Instead, we throw a whole garment away.
Yeah, that's a really interesting view. Not one that I've heard before, but that's super interesting. Why not?
I would have loved that when I was getting into it for the first time. You know, when you're entering your cycling journey, and you basically start off by getting the cheapest thing in 3 sizes too big for you, and then eventually you get to the point where, you know, you're trying all loads of things and realizing what's available. But you go through, you know, I went through jerseys like a box of tissues. You know, there's so much stuff that you just throw away where you buy cheap tat, and it's just like you didn't know, you weren't educated at the beginning to realise that maybe I should, you know, spend a bit more money and get something that actually fits me properly and is comfortable, and having the option to change those things as well. Because I'm one of those people who, I don't see things and think, oh, I want that. I come up with something in my head and think, I want that, now I'm going to go looking for it. And obviously you're looking for something that you've just made up in your head and doesn't necessarily exist.
And I think, like we were saying before, you know, people don't always cycle the same way. You know, I used to be very much a road cyclist, and now I do a bit of road, do a bit of gravel, dipping my feet back into mountain biking a little bit. So, you know, it makes sense that your clothing can kind of do all of this as well, and that you can adapt your clothing. And or, you know, I'm riding off-road, so I might want a slightly looser fitting jacket, so why can't we kind of, you know, make this modification and kind of like upgrade it so it can kind of serve this purpose, you know.
And convertible stuff is that have you both got ideas on that?
So I mean, sometimes it can end up not doing either of the two jobs that it's out to do, but something like, you know, bib shorts with leg warmers, like, is that more versatile than kind of full tights, or which again, you know, arm warmers or something, you know, it's we kind of already have some of those systems, I suppose, but I'm less of a fan of the, you know, the jacket that turns upside down and it's a waterproof hat or whatever.
Some of them
turns
can
into a bag
be
or-
slightly convoluted, like the zip-off sleeve, for example. That's just more tricky to use than anything else.
Yeah.
Maybe it works more for the mountain bike side of things, where things can be a little bit more hefty, a bit more, but not for your sleek road cyclists.
Yeah, maybe another lever on your handlebars alongside all the lockouts and dropper posts and stuff. Something to pull the sleeves up and then, like, put a hood over or
Extra
whatever.
hanger. Yeah, it sounds very much like a cultural objection, though. It's you know, it's hard to change culture and, you know, get people to think in a different way about how they treat certain things, and that's kind of tied up in the imagery of, you know, the fashion of cycling at the moment as well, which I feel like that so much of the stuff is kind of fashion driven. There's definitely a certain look about it, and that's fine. But you know, is there also an equal weight on the value of, you know, being able to modify, recycle, have longevity, durability, all those kind of things. And
how do you put that down on a web page as concisely as possible, so that people buy into that idea? It's the same problem that you have, the same problem that I have. Every time you go into something that is customizable, it comes with a whole load of spiel that you need people to you know, marry to kind of understand as well. It can't be. It's not a quick sale, is it? It's not something.
They just need to listen to the podcast.
They need to listen to it.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
Long form.
Yeah. All right. Whew. Spoken about, gone in lots of different waves and things. I think final thing, what are you most excited about, like, at the moment? What new things? Well, you probably can't talk about what new things are coming, can you, both of you? But give us a tease. Can you give us a tease about something? What are you excited about? Maybe not even a new product, but just something you're excited about.
Well, Wei, I am extremely excited about this year ahead. As we were discussing before we went on air, that I've sorted out a problem in my hip. And I am now really looking forward to riding again properly, knowing that I'm not grinding my hip to dust. But yeah, goodness, hold on. I might have to edit this because I'm going to try and think of something specific product-wise that I might be able to...
Okay. Yeah. Or maybe a little event or the next repair show or something like that. Claire, have you got anything you can let us in on?
I'm really excited about obviously having the studio and lots more space to get creative in.
Have you spoken to Betty Souter yet at Saffron? He's just like around the corner from you.
Yeah, I've chatted to him once, but I need to go and catch up properly with him. He's literally just around the corner.
See, all these great people attract each other.
The South East London connection,
Hot with the bike industry.
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of new products, which is really exciting. And they are looking really awesome. And then this year it's going to be really good, just building on what I achieved last year. I'm going to be doing lots of like in-person events and kind of cycling events and pop-ups and things. So getting out there and meeting like lots of customers again and just kind of spreading the Petrichor Projects mission further. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Is there a specific event that's coming up relatively soon that you're going to be at?
I'm going to be doing Sisters in the Wild, so that would be great. And then, lots of other things in works.
Awesome. Yeah, it's so good to hear this positivity, certainly at this time in the bike industry when so many kind of more established brands seem to be going the other way.
Yeah, it's a tricky time.
Too big for their own good. So maybe the smaller companies, it's our time to shine.
There seems to be a change in the wind.
Yeah.
But Albion's doing well as well, and they seem to be going strong. So
Ticking things over, right? Yeah, in the face of what, what's happening, some of the free fall that's happening in the industry at the moment. So good.
Good stuff. Any last words?
The problem is all the stuff I'm excited about is, I'm just daydreaming about getting a 6 foot long trailer to fit even more kit on, so stuff like that.
That's why we love you, Graeme. You were always a little bit eclectic, even back at Evans days. I remember you turning your a pace mountain bike into all kinds of weird things. Did you see Rob English made a frame builder made an ode to that
I did,
bike
yes.
race?
To the Pace RC200, definitely turned my head,
So, we'll have to get you one of those. Somehow, if you're going back into riding, do that. All right, thank you guys. That's been really, really insightful, and thank you for sharing your time, your thoughts, and your energy. And just wishing you all the best for a very exciting 2024 ahead.
Where can we find you on social media, internet, things like that?
I am petrichorprojects.co on Instagram.
Spend money on the .co.
And website the same.
Nice.
Are you on the gram? You're on the gram.
Yeah,
aren't you?
it's the same handle. Yeah.
petrichor.co. And Graeme.
I think Albion Cycling will come up wherever you look for
just
it.
type it in, Google it.
And I'm Graeme _Raeburn out there on socials as well.
Cool.
Should you want to take a peek at what I'm up to there?
Yeah. Just over the sounds of the sewing machine, maybe you'll get a little ping. Enough about butts.
Favourite sewing machine of choice?
Ooh.
Brand wise?
I mean,
my mum was a seamstress, so I've got
my sewing machine isn't quite as advanced as Graeme's, I'm sure, but Singer classic.
Singer,
yeah, it's got to be.
The Fafs. I love German Fafs. 70s and 80s. Take them apart and get them absolutely beautiful engineering. Yeah.
Are they analog or are they digital?
Analog.
I generally
totally
shy away from
as in not
too
completely
digital.
mechanical, not the ones where you have to
No, but just
You know where you are.
Yeah.
I grew up with the sound of my mum's brother. I think it was a brother or a singer. And
Yeah.
the motor
Yeah.
constantly.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Just talking about
WGT.
Digital versus analog with that bike behind you.
On those ones, the treader ones, so because they've got sort of a flywheel, they really get up like momentum, and you can't just stop them. So when they start going through your finger, it will just you
like
can't
a lathe,
stop it.
basically a lathe.
Yeah.
Wow. You've got the scars.
Hefty old things.
There you go. Well, thank you guys, and
Thank you.
catch you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have questions for us about today's episode, you can follow the podcast on Instagram and YouTube under Soft Issues Pod, so leave us a message. And if you liked what you heard today, leave us a 5-star review and a rating. This helps us hugely to grow the show, so we can help riders like yourself get even more out of their riding. Suffering from numb hands, tingling toes, and any other persistent discomforts when you ride? These are all signs that your bike fit could be improved. If you're bike fit curious, get in touch with Wei or Matt by emailing info@foundation.fit or finding them on Instagram @FDN_bikefit. Finally, for all your bike servicing needs, custom dream bike or hand-built wheels, go to www.frequencycycleworks.com or find me on Instagram @frequencycycleworks. Until next time, keep on spinning.